Okay, we are back. Thank you for hanging out and staying on deck with me while I took that time to put some vittles into my stomach and make sure that I don't fall over. Really, it's a real thing. No, it's a real thing because look, I had a stroke in 2011. Okay, and when I had that stroke, my whole physiology changed. The way that I eat, the time that I eat, how I eat. I mean, my body lets me know now, and I have to eat so I can't miss meals like I did when I was younger. When I was younger, I could eat one meal a day, and I'd run all day on a bag of chips and a soda pop. But I can't do that any longer. And every now and then, I forget, and I get in trouble. I get in real, real trouble, and it's not a pretty sight when when I get gonna go past that limit, because now hunger pangs now make me ill. I mean, like hospital, ambulance ride ill. So I have to pay attention to how things go now. So so I have to eat on time. When my body says okay. See, and it's different. Every day it's different. It's weird. Every day it's different. I don't have to eat at the same time every day. I just have to. So if I'm working really hard and I'm breaking a sweat, and I'm going to eat earlier because I'm burning up energy. If I'm kind of just moping around and taking my time, I'm not burning up as much energy, so I can go further longer. And then I just know that as I'm going further longer, that it's time to get a pack of crackers and some turkey, or something to put in the stomach until I actually eat a meal. So so that's the reason why I'll take a break out. I mean, like this thing that we're looking at right now. I really didn't want to have to break that out and make it a part two, but I was up at work at 5 a.m. this morning. I almost wanted to say 4, but that's not until Sunday. But I was at work at 5, and I work 5 to 2. So sometimes when I get up, I might sleep until I have to get up, shower, clothe, and then shoot down the street because I live so close. I can wait till the last minute if I want to, but I don't. I get up and get myself together and so if I sleep longer and don't get a meal, then I'll feel it later on the other side. But if I go ahead and get up earlier, you know, and put something in my stomach that'll carry me over for the next couple of hours, then I'll be fine. But if I miss that first couple hours, that next 2 hours is critical. So that's 4 hours, of going without something to eat or even to hold you over. So by the time that fifth hour hits, you get a hunger pain that's a crunch, and at this point, it's one of the ones that will make you violently ill, where you're nauseous and everything else. Now, me, I'll start sweating, and those symptoms are symptoms of the stroke. So with the sweat and the nausea, you really don't know where you are. Am I just hungry or am I stroking again? So I have to eat because it's you don't want to guess. you don't want to guess. You want to stay on top of the game. So anyway, we were doing a part two. Welcome back. And we left off before talking about, so we covered some ground. We talked about the Panari Indians, how the Catholic Church, took the scriptures and flipped them and twisted them in order to convince the Panari, who had no concept of guilt or anything like that or sin, that they had done something wrong in order to make them feel guilty and come underneath the Catholic Church. As I said, the church will use religion as a tool, as a way to control people. And if that's not clear enough for you to see that they are willing to go that far to do that, they change the scriptures. They change the scriptures to get the Panari. Okay, that's documented. It's documented, right? I gave it to you off of Pastor Hagen's, Ray Hagen's site. Some people discredit him because he has a sordid history, but his teachings, you can't, I might not like a man, but if his teachings are on, I might not like you as a person, but your teaching, if it's on, I'm going to back you on that, and he said something, and I did the research, and I looked it up, and I found it in many different places on many different occasions. But I went looking for it just now, and it was a little bit more difficult to find. See, when people start finding out about things, they start hiding things. They start putting things away. Okay? And that's why we start downloading things and keeping them and documenting them, because once they take it away, especially off the internet, you can't get it back again. You're like, wait a minute, it used to be here. I can show you. I have proof. It's right here. And you can't find it again. And they do that quite often. So in my saying that to you, I'm saying this, that that there was a time when I went looking for a particular item, and it was more difficult to find now than it had ever been before. Okay, and so this map right here, okay, this what we're looking at, and it wasn't ever this hard to find before. Okay, but we're looking at this right here, and I know it's, I just want you to see it. It says Kingdom of Judah, or Wahida, Slave Coast. Okay, this is on the west coast of Africa. Do you know who Judah is? Tell me that you know who Judah is. The tribe of Judah from Israel. Okay, that everybody says is in Israel now. They say they're Jewish. Ish means something like. Like if I say you're being childish, I mean you're acting like a child. Jewish is mean you're something like a Jew, but you're not a Jew. What does that say right there? What does that say right there? There's a whole reason why that's there, and why it even says that, and why that city is there, and I mean there's a whole reason behind all of that. But skip the reason of all of that and just look at what's being said. Whoever made this map knew who the people were. That's why they put Kingdom of Judah, or Waida, how you would say it in another language. But also look at, they're also designating what this place is and who you're going to get from there. You're going to get the original Hebrews of the tribe of the Yahudim, and they are going to be your slaves when you pull up on this coast. Okay? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. When you pull up on this coast right here, you are going to be getting members of the Yahudim to be your slaves. And you're going to sail off around the world, and they're going to be your slaves throughout the diaspora. And time immortal until the Father comes again and reclaims his children. But I wanted you to see this. It says Judah. Judah was one of the tribes of Israel. Judah was one of the brothers. Judah was powerful. Judah was a fighter and a warrior. Judah, the man who was of the, we're of the tribe of Judah. We're the children of Judah. Okay? So Judah himself would knock off 100 men in a war with a sword in each hand, no problem. Judah would run into a crowd of dudes and they would all fall at his hand. He wouldn't be touched. Judah was a bad man. You should read about Judah. You should read about his brother Naphtali. As a matter of fact, you should read about the brothers when they took off on the town of Shechem because of their sister Dinah. You should read about that. And when you read about that and you read it, and as you're reading it and you see the exploits that they did, you will see where they got things like the X-Men, the Avengers, because that's what you'll think. You'll think that's what you're reading when you read about these exploits. You'll think you're looking at Iron Man. You think you see the Hulk. You think you see the Flash. You think you see Captain America. You look at all of them as you're reading the story about Judah and his brothers when they took off on the town of Shechem. And as they were taking off on the town of Shechem, see, it's not so much that they were taking off on the town of Shechem. It's what they did. And as they went through and they wrecked the scene, that the other towns who were allied to Shechem say, hold up, There's a fire going. They could see the columns of smoke going up, and they knew that Shechem was under attack. And they said, let's go. Those are our boys. We got to go help them. And they thought it was a massive army whooping on Shechem. And they get over there, and it's just this little series of brothers knocking the city down. I'm talking about knocking the city down. And as I talk about this Avengers thing, what make you think about the Avengers? Listen, one of the brothers could scream so loud, walls would fall. He screamed so loud, things would just, armies would fall over. Walls would fall. You should read the stories. These brothers were no joke. They had the power of the Most High Yah following them. Hallelujah. I love this stuff. You guys don't know how much, coming out of Christianity is the best thing that could ever happen to you if you would just do it. Come over here and let someone show you what it's really like over here. Let someone show you. I'm learning the culture from my brothers who have been in this for much, much longer than me. I recently, in the last year or so, started studying with Jediah Malek. How long have I been studying with Jediah? I've been on his pages. He just now even knows who I am, because I don't step out and I'm not trying to I just say hello from the background and just listen to his teaching. I can learn from anyone. He's a younger man than me, much younger than me, but he grew up in this, 40 years in this. He has much more cultural information that I need. The teaching is pretty much the same. He's already done, the hard part. He's put back all the names, places, and faces, which I'm thankful for, and in the names, places, and faces, we got right here the Hebrew Israelite scriptures. Well, you can see these. You see Yehoshua right there in front of you. There's Yehoshua. No Jesus, Yehoshua, because that was his name. Yehovah is his father's name, and that name is in here. Look, we're right here. We got the Elohim. Okay, we got the Elohim. He's all this. All of this is back in here. Look, there's the Ruach. There's the Ruach, which is the spirit. Okay, look, Yaakov, that's Jacob, that's Yaakov. Okay, so Jediah went through and he put back, look, Shamrom. He put these words back for us. He put all of this back. The Perushim. We're going to look at this in a minute. This is, now I'm supposed to be doing the part 2 to the other one, right? And as I'm, digging in and looking, I'm finding new stuff. I'm like, I got to talk about this. I got to share that, because that's the whole reason why I have this channel and why I do this, you guys, is because this is my get off point. I go roller skating, and my friends invite me out to come karaoke, but I would go karaoke, but that involves drinks and being out in a bar. I don't do that any longer. I go to a roller skating rink though and get my roll on. I love that. But for the most part, I would rather spend my time in these scriptures. I'll be sitting over here on my drums, and I'll have music going in the headphones, but the tablet is open. I got the scriptures in front of me, and I'm getting my bang on at the same time I'm reading. I like to do that. That's what I do. So, but the thing of it is that we have a brother, Jediah, who's put together the Hebrew Israelite scriptures. Don't do it today. Don't purchase one today, but go over to HebrewIsraeliteScriptures.com and take a look and see the gold edition that he's put over there. Now look, over here on this YouTube channel, there is 190 something of us out here. Okay, we're not big, and when I did this channel, it wasn't even about the numbers. If it's growing, it's growing. If it's not, it's about, it's my quest. I'm one step at a time, as I'm doing this and the things that I find and what I'm doing, and then I come out here and I share it. I'm being that transparent because we should be, If more people were trying to do what I'm doing, if more people were trying to do what Jediah and Pete the Messenger are doing, you know, we're overcoming some things. I overcame a lot. Okay, and from just looking at Jediah, I don't know his full testimony, but he used to be non-messianic. At one point, I think he came out of a community that didn't even believe in Yeshua Messiah. You know, there's a lot of people who are like Orthodox Jews or whatever. They don't believe the Messiah has come. They're still waiting for the Messiah to come, for the Mashiach to come. So if my memory serves me correctly and I'm not misspeaking, I believe that Jediah came out of a situation where they didn't believe in the Mashiach, and then he had some sort of an epiphany or revelation from the Most High, that there was the Son and that there was salvation from the Son, and he started moving in that direction, and because of that, I mean, this is what he teaches now. I've always believed, in the Messiah, but I was under the impression, I had been taught, I was indoctrinated that it was Jesus Christ. But when I found out that there was no Jesus, my roof caved in right out there on that porch. Ooh, my roof caved in right out there on that porch. And I have the other camera right here in front of me because I'm using that to shoot the other screen. But right out there on that porch, and I was wrecked. Talk about wrecked. I was wrecked because I had said to my mother some years before, even if I found out that there was no Jesus, I wouldn't stop living this way. And then I found out there was no Jesus. Oh my goodness. And I was wrecked right out there on that porch for almost an hour or more. Father had to do some heavy work on me quick because my train hit the brick wall and stopped instantly. But I had already said it, and that's what he used. He used my own words to remind me in order to get my feet back on the ground, because I had like in the cartoons when they blow their wig and the top of their head go off and their ears blow out and smoke going all different directions. That's like what was going on with me out on that porch. Wow. But I asked, and the crazy, I asked for it. I said, show me on these pages. And he started showing me on these pages, and things started, I started popping gaskets left and right. I thought I was ready. I was ready. I just wasn't, I wasn't ready to be ready. But I was already ready, but I wasn't ready to be ready, But, once I got over that little hurdle, everything else was smooth. That was the hardest one. And that's what he used. He used my own words to remind me, remember, you said this. Remember. So these are your words. I didn't put this in your mouth. You said this. Now here it is. Now, how you going to handle it? How you going to handle it? And I was handling it very badly. Very badly, tears, snot, and all, right out there on that porch. I was a wreck, but here I sit before you. I survived, and man, what a wonderful survival it was. To be able to come through that. He showed me why he took me through this little country preacher to get me here. To put me right here where I sit right now. Not only in this town, but in this place in my life. He took me through this little country preacher out of Gravette, Arkansas to get me here because I was on my way, but he didn't want me to encounter any camps. He didn't want me to encounter any of them. He didn't want me to encounter any of that. And as I was coming along, certain people knew that this was kind of like the road I was coming down, and they were suggesting, well, you need to see these people. You need to see that, and I went like Leonard Nimoy in search of, because I didn't know. I was still, but I was the kind of guy that would always pray before I went. Father, if this is the door you want me to go through, then open it. If not, then keep it closed. I always prayed that prayer because close the doors that you don't want me to go through, open the ones that you want me to go through, because I'm too dumb to know the difference, right? I might go through a door and wreck the whole scene. Right, so don't if I'm not supposed to go through that door, and I'm the kind of guy I'm gonna turn the knob and push on the door, and if it's not opening it, okay, I'm gonna move on. I'm not gonna force my way through the door, right? I'm not that guy, right? It's like, okay, so I can't get in this one, Okay, I'm gonna try it again. See if maybe it's just stuck. Let's make sure. And then, okay, no, it's 3 times I hit this door. I can't get through. I'm moving on. Okay, I got that from a little country preacher. Don't you try it once, twice, 3 times. Just move on. The Father doesn't want you to go through that door. I developed that. Okay, so I'm not supposed to go through this door. Open the ones I'm supposed to go through, and close the ones I'm not, because I'm too dumb to know the difference. If you're the guider of my feet and the light on my path, then do that. And that's how I lived, and that's up until this point. I mean, I have that kind of trust. I had to, because I didn't have anything else. I had to learn everything I got, everything came from trusting the Father, because the family had written me off, and I was nobody in the family. I didn't have anything. I was homeless for a long time, and I wasn't a bad guy. It's just because I do this. Because I do this, the family wasn't having it, right? And so now I'm homeless because nobody wants to hear it. So what do? Do I shut up and not talk about it just to have a place to stay, or do I keep talking about it and trust the Father and just go ahead and hit the streets? So I just trusted the Father and went ahead and hit the streets, and that made him even more angry because I wouldn't submit. So let me back that up and take the them off of it. Okay, it was my mother, for the most part. Because you live with your mom, and the Father was moving me in a direction, and my mother and other family, they weren't trying to hear it. But my mandate was to tell it, and I had to tell it, and I couldn't just be quiet because you didn't want to hear it. So therefore, it was get out, nigga. But to this day, I still take care of my mother. I'll never let anything happen to my mom. And I just had my biggest breakthrough working on Mama's behalf, just recently. Mother got ill, had to be hospitalized, left me with no tools to fight for her on her behalf. So everything I did because it was necessary for a son to fight for his mom. Because in this situation out here, us being who we are, the children of the Yahudim, these people know who we are, and they have no love for us. Okay? They have no love for us. And when they look at us and they see, what we're doing and who we are, especially if they realize that we know who we are, then they have a problem with us. Then they have a problem with us. Okay. Because we know who we are. And when you know who you are, and they know you know who you are, that's when they fear you. Because you have the potential. They know the prophecies. They know they only have a limited amount of time. So when you know who you are, they have a problem with that because you're awake. When all the rest of the people who look like you are asleep, what are you doing awake? See, and that's the Matrix thing, where Morpheus went and woke Neo up. You're the one we need to solve this. You're the guy. We need to wake you up. So he becomes the Messiah. But the picture and the prophecy is the same. Everybody is asleep. And a few of us are walking around trying to fish men and trying to wake others up because they're stuck in Christianity with their eyes wide shut, not realizing. So you'd have to go back and see what happened to the Panari Indians in order to pick up on that one. Okay, so we're going to move along, and keep it pushing. I do want to, stay pertinent and keep it moving. So we're going to go back to the fact that Ham is the progenitor of the dark races, but not the Negroes. the semicolon, we're still talking about Ham, we're still talking about dark races, but we're talking about who is and who is not. The semicolon says the Negroes are not of the progeny of Ham, but it is the progeny of Ham is the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans, and the Canaanites. Okay, that's the progeny. Okay, so that's the thing that we have to remember. We got to stick with that. We got to know that. First of all, let no one tell you that you are of whatever they say you of, because if Ham is not the progenitor of the Negroes, then that goes to show you right there that what you see right here is true. Okay, this is true. I'm working both of them now, y'all. Just give me a break. This is true. I just showed you the other one, but this is true. If Ham is not the progenitor of the Negroes, then this is true. You understand what I'm saying? If Ham is not the progenitors of the Negroes, then this map is true. That the Negroes are the kingdom of Judah. The Negroes are the kingdom of, it's the Negroes that became the slaves, right? That says slave coast right there. They brought to the Americas, and over in the Americas they were called Negroes, right? I have to show you another map of Africa that shows you that this area right here was called Negro land. I'm trying to make it as plain as it can possibly be for you. This is not right brain, left brain thing. You don't have to sweat over this one. Should not cause you anxiety. That's Africa, brown person, kingdom of Judah, or Waida. Also letting you know that this is the slave coast. You are the house of Judah. You cannot deny this. This is a 1747 map that you or I did not make. We were not cartographers. We did not draw this map. The Portuguese and their slave traders drew this map so they would know where to go to get our ancestors, who were the original slaves of the house of Judah, which is of the curses in Deuteronomy 28. Why are you having a problem with this? This is not rocket science. That's a map right there. But I know, boy, it's tough to wake up from this slumber. I don't want to wake up, man. Just let me go back to sleep. I don't want to wake up. I want to go back to sleep. Sorry. It's not my mandate. I can't let you go back to sleep. I'm going to stick you with pins. I'll dump water on you if I have to. But in the end, if you don't accept it, I'll just kick the dust off my shoes and keep it pushing and leave you where you sit. My job is to tell you I can't convince you and I can't make you. That's going to take divine intervention. That's not me. That's not what I do. I'm just going to show you, what I found. Because I said, show me on these pages. I was already licensed and ordained and already teaching in the whole night. I was already on this road. I just didn't know that I was a Hebrew. I was looking for him with this little old country preacher. Like, let's go find the Hebrews. Now, I didn't know that I was already there. I had already found myself. I didn't get that until I did my D.N.A., but nonetheless, I didn't know. And I'm running around with this little country preacher, studying with him and following him around, and his son and his little archaeological quests for 15, 20 years. Yeah. I came at this from a whole different angle, but I landed in the same place you landed. I know who I am now. See, the Father it's amazing. You can't tell me how amazing he is when he brings you to a thing and to a place. I know how I got here. I know where I am, and I know what I know. And I know what he's taught me out of these scriptures. And I'm learning even more because you see, you look at something on one level, and then he opens it up on another. And you understand it on that level, and then he opens it up on another. So it just keeps going. Okay? It just keeps going. I was going to go into I know. So we were coming back in our part two. We were coming back to the fact that we didn't want to cast our pearls before swine. Okay. Now before we do this, I want to I just while I was away on my little dinner break, I found something, and so I want to get that in the mix a little bit. And I want you to hear what this man is saying, because I was just talking about this. Just talking about this same thing. Let me see. I'm always looking at something. I'm always reading something. I'm always researching something. And let me see where did I have this? Right here. Yeah. Right here. Okay, so I think I want to let me search him. Let me search him real quick and see if I can put my hands on him. Do you want to play it here? Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can play it here.
Hello and welcome to the message of the kingdom.
Yes, right? I can play it here. Okay, so I'm going to bring him on the screen. And I was just saying what this man is saying. So that's what's so amazing is you look at something and I think sometimes, man, what am I even talking about? But then this brother came and said it, and I'm gonna put him. Sorry if it's not all that clear or what have you, but I'm gonna put him on it and I'm gonna let him finish it for you, okay? And then we'll talk about it afterwards. But before I do that, let me do this. Because invariably somebody's going to show up. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. So, copyright holder, I'm using this for teaching, not for parody. It's allowed under fair use for purposes of criticism and news reporting, but I'm not making fun of anything. I'm just using your clip right here for 9 minutes and 32 seconds just to teach. So please don't flag me. Please don't flag me. Okay. So now that I got my bag on, let's watch this clip.
Hello and welcome to the message of the kingdom. My name is David Yasef Levi Hawkins, and I'm an ordained minister in the house of Yahweh. You know, when people hear us say that Yahweh is not a God, they say, what do you mean by that? That Yahweh is not a God? Well, my friends, the key to understanding this is simply knowing where the word God came from. The reason people find it difficult to conceptualize the Creator not being God is because we have all been taught that it was God who made all things from the day of our birth. The word God has been drilled into our psyche as the creator of all things. But there are many people who are now beginning to see and understand this enough not to use the word God anymore. A much safer term to use is Heavenly Father, as the Messiah did on several occasions. Once I started learning about all this, I started praying to the Heavenly Father. I didn't start using Yahweh's name right away until I did some more research. But I saw enough never to use the word God ever again. God is what all the heathen nations worships. And it was so easy to see, my friends, and you'll be able to see this. It's so easy to see in the scriptures that God was exactly who Yahweh warned the Israelites not to worship. My friends, the truth that I'll be sharing with you today is only taught by the house of Yahweh. No other place on earth has this truth. Not even the scholars and the people who know that the name of the Creator is Yahweh. They all think that Yahweh is just another God. Today, I want you to pay very close attention, because if you don't, you will not understand this great truth. I want to make it absolutely clear that Yahweh is not a God. Yahweh is our Heavenly Father and the Creator of heaven and earth. God, on the other hand, is Satan the devil, who has stolen the identity and attributes of Yahweh, inspiring the world to believe that God is the creator, not Yahweh. But before I get into the facts and show you, the different reference sources that show this information, let me first put it in simple terms so that you will understand what we're saying. My friend, to say that Yahweh is a God is an insult. It's like saying Yahweh is an angel, a creature that Yahweh made. Gods are beings that were created by Yahweh. And sometime later, a third of them rebelled against Yahweh, and they were led by Satan the devil. Gods, humans, and dogs share the fact that they were all created by Yahweh. Yahweh's intelligence is way above that of the gods. He put the gods of Egypt to complete shame. The people of this world always worship gods. The chief of all the gods is called Satan the devil, who started deceiving mankind from the beginning in the Garden of Eden. People don't know who they're worshiping when they call on God. This is why the Messiah said to the Samaritan woman these words in John 4 verse 22. Or if you have a book of Yahweh, it's Yakanan 4, chapter 4 verse 22, where he said, "You do not know what you worship. We know what we worship, for salvation is from the Yadaim," or the Jews. Now, Yeshua said this to the woman that because the Yadaim or the Hebrews were given the Torah, the very words of Yahweh, the only way to eternal life. But they put it aside and choose instead to live by the Talmud, which Yeshua resoundingly rejected and called it the tradition of men. Now I'll speak more about that later, but what I want you to focus on right now and see is where Yeshua told the woman, "You do not know what you worship." This statement is also true of the rest of the God-worshipping world, and it should come as no surprise to you, anyone, because the scriptures clearly told us in Revelation 12 verse 9 that Satan has deceived the entire world. Let me say that again. The entire world. And you can read this in Revelations 12 verse 9. "And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world." Who does the world worship? God, not Yahweh. I want you to see clearly. In fact, the only person in all humanity that Satan was not able to deceive, not even in the slightest, was Yeshua Messiah. Every single one of us were deceived at some point in some way or the other. I want you to remember this. What Satan said to Yeshua when she tried to deceive Yeshua. I want you to read it for yourself at home. We don't have time now to read it. In Matthew chapter 4, verse 8 to 10. You read it. And see, didn't Satan offer Yeshua all the kingdoms of the earth? Well, from that time until now, all the world is still worshiping gods. They are not worshiping Yahweh. Otherwise, they would be keeping Yahweh's laws and calling Yahweh by his name as he commands us to do in the scriptures. Satan has deceived the whole world by getting all mankind to worship a being that goes by the name or the title of God. Everyone worships God. But notice what it says in the Bible about God. In 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 4. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 4. Notice what it says. "For the gods of this world, led by Satan, have blinded the minds of those who do not believe." I want you to notice that. What better way to deceive the world, as it states in Revelation 12 verse 9, than to steal the identity of Yahweh? Satan the devil injected the word God into the scriptures to impersonate Yahweh and try to steal his identity as the creator of heaven and earth. By this single criminal act of forgery, Satan caused the only people that Yahweh revealed himself to, the children of Israel, to worship gods, or Elohim, or El, which is the singular form of Elohim. My friends, this is how Satan the devil, the god of this world, has deceived the whole world. Every nation in this world worships God. And note this, they do not worship Yahweh. Yet all the biblical scholars know that Yahweh is the name written in the earliest manuscripts of the Bible. There's no other way to explain why, after Yahweh inspired his prophets to write the holy words, his holy words of life, the holy scriptures, the only words that can bring eternal life, with his name on every page, and gave us clear instructions in these same scriptures to use his name in worship, that scrupulous men would come along and replace his name with words such as God and Lord. Most people are not even aware of these changes took place, and the religious community and the media have kept this quiet. You don't hear the churches preaching about this replacing of Yahweh's name on Sunday morning. This should be on the front page of every newspaper throughout the land.
Yep, should be on every newspaper throughout the land. And see, now I was just talking about that in the last segment, the part one piece. I was just talking about the gods. Christianity is the only religion that worships every god on the planet. All of their holidays, they have holidays. Christianity has holidays. Christianity does not have holy days. The Most High has holy days, feasts and festivals that we keep holy days. Christianity has holidays. See, that's how things get off in spirituality. See, because Lucifer and Satan over here is running Christianity. He's running Christianity. I don't care if you have a hard time accepting that. It's the truth. Satan is running Christianity. Why? Because Satan runs the Roman Catholic Church, and the Roman Catholic Church is the mother church of Christianity worldwide. And if you go to church on Sunday, whether you sit under Creflo Dollar, whether you sit under T.D. Snakes, whoever you sit under, you're under the mother church, the Roman Catholic Church. If you go on Sunday, Saturnalia is supposed to be your Saturday, Saturn, but we know it's Shabbat. See, Satan could not go after one day without attacking them all. He doesn't know the Father's plan, so he didn't know what the Father's going to set in. We have to follow the 7-day theory. So every day of the week that you have is named after a lunar planet or a god. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday are all gods. They're named after gods. You'd have to do the research to pull the name out, but Sunday through Saturday are named after gods. We worship the stars and the moon and the planets. January, February, March, January. Janus is the two-headed god. Okay, so I didn't know anything about Janus. And then Angelina Jolie did this movie called The Tourist. And in the movie, her and Johnny Depp are having this conversation, and she's spinning this thing on her bracelet, and he looks at it. right? And so she notices that he looks at it, and then she holds it in her hand, and you can see it's a two-headed. Okay, let me no. All right, I'm that guy. I'm going to show you because I don't like people saying that what I'm saying is inferior or wrong or you don't know you know how people are, right? So I'm the guy. Like I said, I like to do the research. I'll look it up. I'll show you. I'll show you. I will show you. As a matter of fact, I thought about that too the other day, and I almost pulled the movie out so I could put the clip in up here. And one of these days, when I'm doing angels and stuff like that, I'll pull my movies out and I'll show you clips and I'll show you stuff that I'm talking about and how I see what I see and how I spot these demonic subliminal messages that they pop off in these movies and commercials. And there's a lot of symbolism, demonic symbolism, and things. Before we knew letters and numbers and stuff, we knew symbols. We're going way, 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 way back in man's history. We knew symbols. We were symbol literate. Okay, running around with this old preacher. I'm telling you, I learned this right before there was writing. Right, there was an oral history, and stories were told by the stars. They would use the characters and the symbols that they saw in the sky. They would tell the stories by the stars. The whole story of Christ throughout the zodiac is told in the stars. Okay, and I have that whole thing in here. It's in here. Okay, and other studies. Right, so this is just one of those. Now I try not to follow a bunch of books. But when somebody is studying and they're pulling out information that is historical as well as scriptural and is compiled in a book, then I'll go after it. And that's so I picked this up. And there's a lot of appendices and things in here that have a lot of relevance. And whenever I'm doing things like this, I will reference those things. And I have a lot in my eSword as well. Okay, so this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. And I'm going to show you this right here. Okay, let's get this one. Let's get this one. Okay, now let me show you. Okay, in the movie The Tourist, you'll see Angelina Jolie playing with her bracelet, and on her bracelet is that. You know what that is? That's Janus, the two-headed god. She gave a definition of Janus in the movie that is not the definition of Janus. And so that made me notice what they do because in the movie her definition is not the definition that you would get out of Wikipedia or which you would look up in another book in history because history will say that Janus was a god and what Janus was about, but the definition that she gave Janus was not what history or what Wiki or anyone else would say Janus was. And she gave a story behind it, and maybe it was for the movie because of her parents trying to teach her a lesson by using this two-headed god Janus. But my point of showing you Janus is to show you that that's where the month January comes from. January is named after that god right there. So I'm showing this to you so that you don't say that, well, you're just saying that you don't know what you're talking about, brother. Do your history. Look it up. January is named after that guy. The days of the week are named after others. All the months are named after these gods. That's why I showed you that guy just a few minutes ago talking about the gods. There is no one person called God. There is no one entity called God. It's a group of them that make up the collective entity called God, which is the Elohim, translated into God. But now society's even taken that one step further and have you believing that that group is not a group but just one person and you call him God and that's who you pray to. So if you're praying to that singular God, there are singular gods, but which one are you praying to? Is it Janus? Is it Apollos? Is it Zeus? Is it Diana? Who? Which one? Lucifer is the god to those who worship him. So which one are you praying to? That's the reason why I pull this out. Okay, and that's a side note away from where I was going. in the first place. But as I said, I'm always reading, I'm always looking, I'm always, digging into my scriptures, and I lay things side by side, and I'm like, I'll put my scriptures right next to it and see how this lines up, you know, and history will usually line up with your scriptures. You just have to know how to look at history and what's really been going on with that. We might get a part 3 out of this one. I really wasn't planning on pulling an all-nighter, but I just might. Take another 15, 20-minute break and come back and do another hour. It just might go that way. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. No, my thing is that there are people who will always be doubters and naysayers, who will always have something to say. This is more like what was on Angelina Jolie's coin, on her bracelet. This is more like it was the coin. This is more like what was on her bracelet. That's Janice. It was a coin like that, silver, hanging from her bracelet, and she was twirling it around in her fingers. But that's Janice. Okay? I mean, this is not anything that you can't Google. I mean, you can certainly do this. I did, and it's right here. Here's all of my, I'm looking for it. There's, see, Janus. There's Janice right there. I typed in Janice. This is what comes up. I know what to look for. I know what I'm going for. I know. That's why I say you have to have good filters, because if you don't know what you're looking for, you'll pull. Someone else can put a Janice in here. You won't know. Oh, there's the coin. There's the coin. There's the coin. I can get it to focus. There's the coin. That's the coin, you guys. That's the Janice coin. Look at that. Wow. That's the actual coin. That's a real coin. So now you see that is a real coin. You can Google it yourself and find that coin. That is a real coin. So somebody somewhere in history, in a real way, believed in Janice. There it is. There's your proof. There's a coin. In history, you have to have tangible proof. They want a cup with a engraving on it. They want a coin, parchment with something written on it. That's your proof in history. Because someone long ago made that. You didn't. And it can be dated. There's your coin right there. So I'm not saying Janus existed. I'm saying Janus was a system that was worshipped. It was as a god. There's your coin. Janus the god is on the coin. There it is. And you look for things like this in order to do your research. This is how I verify what it is I'm looking for. I keep digging. I see that and I'll dig deeper and dig deeper and dig deeper until I find what it is I'm looking for. Just like, where is it? That's 1. That's 2. Leave that there. Now let me go to, okay. Now, I believe I have this. Yeah. I was doing something else and I've moved way off. Oh, I was doing don't cast your pearls before swine, and we're on a sidetrack now. We're gonna have to circle back to that because I'm on a sidetrack now. Let's see. I said don't cast your pearls before swine. Here it is, right here. Trying to stay in step with where I was. Okay, because I got off track. So now, in my studies, I looked at something and I came across something else. Um, oh, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so well, this is not the woman that I wanted. There was a wait a minute. Yeah, this is the one who. Okay, so this is not the one that I wanted. This is not the one, but we're gonna put this right here. All right, so let me go back. I think because I had this on. Yeah. Okay. Mm, okay. All right. So there was a had to get my ESOR together here. Now I'm looking at some things here. This is the woman of Samaria. Um, I was looking at that, but this is really not where I want it to be right now. But I do want to circle back on her um, because I need to look at, first of all, um, because we're at Cast Not Your Pearls. So let's go to Matthew 7. And so we were looking at this yesterday, and the thing of this was that talking about trying to get the brethren to release Christianity, and it's really difficult when you're in Christianity and you're starting to talk to people about the other side of the stage, which doesn't involve Christianity, but still believing in if you're on that level, because a lot of our Hebrews, we have a lot of Hebrews who are stuck in Christianity. I have friends who are pastors of churches, and I'm still talking to them, and I'm still seeing people around town, and people still, and they look at me and they think I'm Muslim. Well, the first thing when you don't eat pork, the first thing they say, "Are you Muslim?" Yes, but no. And they have a deer in the headlight look. They don't understand because they don't know what Bani Israel is. They don't know. So they have no concept of a bar. So they don't know. So that some of Abraham's children, at the time of the scattering, hung out with their brother Ishmael. You know, and Ishmael knows who his family is, and he's willing to help his brothers because he knows that's his brothers. I'm speaking about over in Israel now, in the desert over there. I'm talking about over there, and in a way today, because they know who they are and they know who we are, and they know what the prophecies are, and they know. I'm just gonna leave it right there. Okay, you'd have to get into that in order to figure out and to understand what that is. But there is a whole, when the Father is gathering his people, he said from around the world, and he meant that. I mean, there are okay, for instance, okay, there are Limba Jews who never saw slavery in Africa. Okay, when the rest of us around the world were getting hammered, there was this one little troop that's keeping the flame and holding the candle, and they're able to stay in a place where they're untouched. The world hasn't touched them like the world has touched us. The world hasn't hammered them like the world has hammered us because they are keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. And when people go over there and see them holding up these statues, they're like, well, wait a minute. How are you? Because the Jews, because they're thinking, they're thinking, they're thinking, in a whole different way, right? They're thinking Jewish. Okay, I don't have anybody to stand next to me, so this is the best representation I could give you. They're thinking Jewish. Okay, I'm doing this so that I can be very nice about it and just let the visual speak for itself. They're being Jewish. So it's hard for people to accept the fact that this is not Jew, that there's no such thing, because there was no J, see? So when they wrote their book, they put a J in there for you to give you the Yahudim and call it Jew. And that's why it has to be Ish, because they're not Yahudim. They can't be Yahudim. See, a Hebrew could never be a Jew, and a Jew could never be a Hebrew. I keep telling people that, and and one day somebody's gonna get it. They're gonna figure it out. I can never be Ashkenazi. I'm not from Ashkenaz. Ashkenaz was a tribe of people that continues until today. They're called the Ashkenazi Jews. Ashkenaz was one of the sons of Japhet. Go back and read it in the Table of Nations in Genesis. Ashkenaz is the father of the Ashkenazim. And they're still here today, as are the Negroes. Oops, did I say that out loud? There are groups of us who are here that are still here, that are supposed to be here for a particular reason. And that's the thing that I look at. Why are the Negroes? Because it's identified as the Negroes. Negroes. And then there's the Ashkenaz, the sons of the Ashkenazim, are still here today. Right? We have Caucasians from the Caucasus Mountains still here around us. Because not everybody who has pale skin is a Caucasian, just like not everybody who has brown skin is African. Does that make sense? Just because your skin is pale doesn't mean you're Caucasian. Doesn't mean you came from the Caucasus area or the Caucasus Valley or even the Caucasus Mountains just because your skin is pale. So, okay, now let's look at this. We're going to go to, oh yeah, I kept that, but we're going to look at this. All right. Judge not, that you not be judged. For with what judgment you judge, you shall be judged. And with what measure you mete, it shall be measured to you again. Why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thy own eye? Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, let me pull out the mote out of your eye, and behold, a beam is in thine own eye? Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam from thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out thy brother's eye. Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you. Right? Judge not, that you not be judged. For with what judgment you judge, you shall be judged. And with what measure you mete, it shall be measured to you again. Whatever measure you use to add up this judgment, that's the measure that's going to be used to add up your judgment. Whatever formula you use to get to that measurement, that mathematical issue when you made that judgment, whatever it was, however you did it, that's the same spirit, that's the same kind, whatever it was, that's what's going to be used to add up your measurement when it comes to you. So why behold the mote that's in your brother's eye when you don't even see the beam that's in your own? So if you're walking and you're not following the laws, commandments, and statutes, how can you tell someone else that they're not doing so if you're not doing it either? The pot can't call the kettle black. First of all, for us who have come out of the religion of Babylon, Christianity, churchianity, for us to tell you this, we've already removed the beam from our eye. So the beam in our eye is already removed. We're trying to tell you about the beam in yours. But me, I'm not judging you. Because see, the scriptures say that he who judges doeth the same thing. I'm not judging you. I'm not doing what you're doing, so I'm not judging you. So don't think that I'm trying to condemn you or looking at you, condensating. I'm not judging you. What I'm doing is telling you is that you've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and tricked, and you need to come out. It's not about what you believe that's in this book. It's about the fact that they took this book from you when it was scriptures. And they did things to it when they gave you this book. However, still a good book to have for reference. It's the only thing that we have that we can virtually rely on and count on, the 1611 King James, who was a Hebrew, did this for us. And then they took that and then they twisted it from what he did for us by taking the Apocrypha and other books out of it. Well, Jediah, when he put the Hebrew Israelite scriptures back together, he put all the books back in there, all the names, place, faces, and dates, added in some beautiful pictures of us so that we can see ourselves and feel good about that, and then put all the extra biblical books back in there as well. The entire Apocrypha and a bunch of other study tools as well. So when you get a King James from his word, Hebrew Israelite scriptures, when you get one of those, you get more than just the straight 1611 King James. Jediah's put a lot of time in translating all this stuff from Hebrew for us to get this, and the book is well worth it. I have the PDFs. I plan on getting the books, the hard copies. And my attitude is that I spent the money here for this is Esau's book. I spent the money for it. It's a big book too, right? I imagine that the Jediah's book, Yeshua's book, looks like this, and I'll show it to you when I get it, when I get one. But the thing of it is that everything that is in there is worth it for us. Now, I was actually going to, the one that I'm using here that's online, I was actually going to purchase that one. And then, and I like hardbacks. I like hardcovers. I always have a hardcover. And then Jediah started saying that he was working on a new book. And I was going to purchase that one, but he started talking about this new book, and he started, showing us excerpts of it and pictures and studying out of it and the whole nine. And I'm like, well, I got to hold on now. I mean, he's coming with a new one. And then the 400 year, no, was it? No, he dropped two. He dropped two at the same time. Blew my mind. I was stuck. I didn't know which one to get. So, and I still haven't quite decided, but I think I'm going to do the gold edition and just call it good, because that's like a part of history, and it helps them, and I have a piece of it, and then I actually have the hard copy. But I'll probably get that as well as the digital copy, because the digital copy I like to use, when we're in here and we're teaching and stuff, because it's really good when I can. I'm running with two mice, so I got to figure out where I'm at. It's really good when I can just jump to it like this, and I could just jump to it like this and just have it there on the screen, and in this particular fashion, I can share it with you guys, just like this. So I really like that. Um, but in the meantime, I wanted to talk about something else and do something else. Let me see, because we were talking about, or I was talking about, not casting your pearls before swine. Okay, so um, Yeshua, he only came for the Hebrews. He didn't come for anyone else. A lot of people think that he came for the whole entire world, and he didn't. And he never said he did. And he never told anyone that his mission was to the world. Um, so we have to be careful when we're carrying this word out, because we don't want to cast our pearls before swine and have them trampled underfoot. That means stranger or family, right? You can say this, like I said this. Remember when I said that the woman just came up to me all of a sudden and just all of a sudden just started talking, just out of the blue, was just chopping it up with me about there's going to be a reset, going to be a reset, and then I said nothing. I just was cool about it, didn't say anything, and she kept talking about there was going to be a reset, and so I just kind of left that alone and moved on. But I didn't share any truth with her. I wasn't going to cast pearls before her. She was talking to me from a Christian standpoint, and I knew that she was talking to me. Her certain buzzwords. I knew she was talking to me from a Christianity standpoint, as if Christianity had the answer. And so, since I understood where she was coming from and the entity that was driving that conversation, to see if I was gonna bite, I just left it alone. I didn't engage, and I didn't cast my pearls. I just said, okay, I see what this is. Okay. I'm noticing those things again, and just like when the Mormons came to the gate, I didn't cast the pearls. I was just quiet. Said, no, thank you. I'm fine. Thank you. And there are people who don't deserve to know this. Of the nations, this is not for them. This is not a truth for them. So there was no point. You know what I mean? So I didn't cast those pearls. And I'm getting to that point with family where I just won't even talk about it anymore. With certain family members, I just won't talk about it anymore. Right? So he came only for the Hebrews. He didn't come for the rest of the world. And the rest of the world wants you to think, and most of the church wants you to think, that he came for the world, right? For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. So God gives his only son to the world, right? That's what we're looking at. God gives his only son to the world. And then we see God giving his only son to the world. I did this on the other screen and reached over here and grabbed it for you. And let me see, where am I? Oh, here. Now, God loves the world, right? He loves the world. So here is Yeshua, right, rolling into Netzarim. And he gets into Netzarim, and there is no, he's rejected, right? He's rejected. So now he's on his way out of town. On his way out of town. Let me see. Where am I? He's on his way out of town. And so they decided to stop for a minute. No, they decided to stop for a minute. I'm doing a couple different things here at once, you guys. They decided to stop for a minute and just. This is not what I want. Come on. There we go. Now it's acting right, but it's not. All right. So now that I'm in here. All right. So we're going to look at this in a couple different ways, okay? Because this is going to help us. I'm opening up the Hebrew Israelite scriptures so we can have that also. Because this is like not off the top of my head. I'm just doing this right now. And because like I said, we turned the page. So he went out from thence and he came to his own country. So he came to his own country. Okay, first we can see that he came to his own. He didn't go anywhere else. He came to his own. He went out from there. And he went out from thence and came into his own country, and his disciples followed him. And when the Shabbat day was come, he began to teach in the congregation. And many hearing him were astonished, saying, From whence hath this man these things? And what wisdom is this which is given unto him, that even such mighty works are wrought by his hands? That's 6:1 and 2, right? Now let's see what Esau says, right? And he went out from thence and came into his own country, and his disciples followed him. And when the Sabbath, we have Shabbat over there, was come, when the Sabbath day was come, he began to teach in the synagogue, okay? Whereas over here it says congregation. Okay, so in one place we have synagogue, and another place we have congregation. So here's what I'm showing you, right? This is the work that Jediah is doing. See, just above congregation is Shabbat, right? Now over here in Esau and every other Bible, you're probably going to see that it was Sabbath. See, and synagogue, as opposed to Shabbat and congregation. So when you're looking at this in Hebrew and translating it from the Hebrew into our English and not using the Greek or anything else, you're getting a Hebraic look at this from a different situation. Now, Jediah, growing up 40 years in this, he learned Hebrew. He was, child. So we didn't have that luxury. So we just thank the Most High that this young man has grown up and has a passion to want to take the King James 1611 and put back in it what should have been in it for us in the first place, right? So congregation is deeper than synagogue. You get that? Congregation. Synagogue is a place. Understand this. Synagogue is a place, right? Congregation is people. A synagogue cannot be people. It's a building, it's a temple, it's the synagogue. The congregation is made up of the. Can the congregation please stand? I want to see the temple stand. The congregation can sit down now. I want to see the temple sit down. As a congregation, we do the call and response thing. As a congregation, the congregation are the people. Okay? And so get it to the fact that he began to teach in the congregation. In other words, he began to teach among the people who had come for to worship. In that place, they called a synagogue. Does that make sense? You just have to connect the dots. You just have to connect the dots. See, he could have went in the he could have went into the synagogue, and he could have stood up and read, and nobody would have been in there. No congregation who would have heard him. It takes the congregation to hear. You have to have people. The congregation are the people. See, and you wouldn't get that if someone hadn't taken the Hebrew and broke it all the way back. That's the reason why I made this little left turn, to show you this. This is how, when I'm studying my filters, I have really good filters, right? I thank the Most High for the way that He brought me into this. I've got pretty good filters. I can smell BS. I can see BS, and I don't follow. That's why I never see, and because I never got into a camp, I wouldn't have done good in the camp at all. There would have been lots of problems because I'm not a follower like that. I'm not that kind of. I don't follow like that. I don't do that. I'm my own man. You know what? We can stand shoulder to shoulder, side by side, and we can do battle. We can slay dragons. But you don't tell me what to do. We can agree to do something together. You can ask me if I will support your effort. All of those different variables, but you don't tell me what to do. When I'm ready to walk away, I'm leaving and you're not stopping me. I do my thing, and the Father directs my path, not you. I don't follow a man. I'm waiting on a king. You're not him. There's a prince that's coming for us, and you ain't it. So that's why I wouldn't do well in camps. I never went to the military because of that same reason. Because you would have said something and did something to me, and then you put a gun in my hand and think that I won't use it on you? No, it's better for me not to be around you because I know me. So that's why I didn't do military. Leavenworth would have been my next stop because I don't do that yelling and spitting in the face thing. I don't do that, and you shouldn't either. We weren't designed. We weren't created for that. They do that, and they break men that way. I refuse to be broken. I will die unbroken. Do I want to die? No. But I'm not going to break. Will it hurt? Probably. Will I suffer? Maybe. Unless the Father is merciful. And they just say, you know what? Because I'm not going to break. I'm not going to stop living this. I'm not going to stop eating this. I'm not going to stop drinking this. So it is what it is. Right? So in this teaching here, let's see, where are we? Okay. Yeah, we are gonna take a break and come back on this one. And circle back on the other side of this one. But I wanted to show you that congregation. Okay? You had to see that. So now let's go on and look at this, right? And he went out from thence and came into his own countries, and his disciples followed him. And when the Shabbat day was come, he began to teach in the congregation, and many hearing him were astonished. And from whence hath this man these things? And what wisdom is this which is given unto him, and that even such mighty works are wrought by his hands? Is not this the carpenter, the son of Miriam, the brother of Jacob, of Joseph, and of Yehuda, and Shimon? Are not his sisters here with us? And they were offended at him. But Yehoshua said unto them, a prophet is not without honor in his own country, and among his own kin, and in his own house. And he could there do no mighty work. You hear that? He could not do anything that involved a miracle there among them. I don't think you heard me. I don't think you heard me. He could do no thing. Okay? Look at this. Right? And there, he could there do no mighty work, save that he laid his hands upon a few sick folk and healed them. Save mean except. He couldn't do anything that involved a miracle except he laid his hands on a couple of sick people and he healed them. but he couldn't do anything. Why? Because their unbelief. See, you have to believe that it can happen in order for that to occur. Just like the woman who reached out and touched his garment. Now, the scriptures will tell you it was the hem of his garment, but it wasn't. It was probably more than likely a fringe that she grabbed a hold of. She probably reached out and grabbed a hold of one of his fringes, and he felt the dunamis power leave his body, that healing ruach leave his body, because her faith, she said, if I can just touch him, I'm good. If I can just reach out and I can just, her faith is what did it. Okay, right? And he marveled because of their unbelief. He was like, wow, man, wow, they, and this marvel is like, he was like his was like him sitting there, just like looking, saying, wow, this is crazy. They don't even realize who's standing here next to them. They don't know who I am. And they won't believe. The smallest miracle in most people's lives is enough to make them and break them and know that they're standing in the presence. But their hearts were so hard that they couldn't even, and that's why he said you got to be like a child. You got to be like a kid can pick this up in a heartbeat. You have to be that soft, and they weren't. Their hearts were hard. So he marveled at their unbelief, and he went around about the villages teaching. Right? Yeah. And then he called unto him the 12. Okay. He called unto him the 12, and he sent them forth 2 by 2, and gave them power over unclean spirits, and commanded them that they should take nothing for their journey, except, because that's what save means, a staff only. No script. That's no money, no bread, no script. You can't, nothing to trade, nothing to write with, no money in their purse. All they could take was their sandals and one coat. They couldn't put on 2. They had to take a sandal and one coat, sandals and one coat. And he said, and what place soever you enter into a house, there abide till ye depart from that place. And whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear you, when you depart thence or from there, shake off the dust under your feet for a testimony against them. Surely, or verily I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for Sodom and Amorah, not Gomorrah, Sodom and for Sedom. See, this is what the Hebrew says. Sedom and Amorah in the day of judgment for that city. And they went out and preached that men should repent. Okay. Now, Esau has it a little bit differently, let's see. He called unto him the 12, and he began to send them forth 2 by 2, and gave them power over unclean spirits, and commanded that they should take nothing for their journey. All right. And they went out and they preached that men should repent, and they cast out many devils and anointed many with oil that were sick and healed them. Okay. And let's see, that's 12 and that's 13. So let me see what this one has for 13. 13 should be right here. And they cast out many devils and anointed them with oil. Many were sick and healed them. And King Hordos and King Herod, over in the Hebrew Israelite scriptures, heard of him. So that was the death of John the Baptist. Okay. So he sent them out. And what I wanted to show you was, okay, so he sent them out, and then there's another scripture that deals with that real quick. Hold on. So he sent them out, and over here, the 12 were sent, and he said to them, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not. Okay? So he's telling them, don't go into the city of the Samaritans. Okay? Let me get to. We're in Marcos. We're going to get to Mattiyahu. Let's see. Mattiyahu. What my animal book is this? This is Luke. Okay. Okay. On our way to Matthew, the gospel according to Matthew. Let me pull this out. Matthew what? We're going to Matthew 10:5. All right, so let's go to Matthew 10:5 in the Hebrew Israelite scriptures. See, I'm working this by myself. I wish I had a second pair of hands, but it's all right. It's all right. Man, there's Matthew 10:5. Let me zoom in on it so we can have it. And, ooh, do I want it that big? No. I want to be able to read it. Here we go. There it is. All right. All right. So, he sends the 10 out, and he tells them not to go into the cities of the Samaritans, right? That's what he says to them. And he tells them here, just like we read in Mark, what to take and what not to take. He said, but go ye rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. See, Mark didn't cover that. Mark didn't say that. We just read Mark 6:1, I believe it was. But Mark didn't cover that. Mark did not say that. Mark said nothing about that. Mark 6:1 says that he's rejected in Nazareth by the Nazarene, right? And then he sends his 12 disciples out to go handle business, and tells them to go unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Okay, so that's what you get out of this right here when you're looking at Matthew 10:5. Now, when you look over here, you see the same thing. These 12, Yehoshua sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go ye rather to the lost sheep of the house of Yisrael. And as ye go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. So as you go what? As you go unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So John 3:16, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. But here's his only begotten son telling his 12 disciples not to worry about the world, but only go after the house of Israel, the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Okay? He's not dealing with the world. He's dealing with the lost sheep of the house of Israel. There is going to be a part 3. We're going to circle back on this. Go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Okay? And over here in the eSword, he's saying the same thing. He's telling them, go to rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel in 10:6. And as you go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely ye have received, freely ye give. Provide neither gold, nor silver, nor brass in your purses, nor scrip for your journey. This is just the same thing we read in Mark. Okay? But the whole point is who did he send them unto? He told them to go not to anyone but the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Okay? That's what he said. That's what he was talking about. Okay? That's what all of that was. Now, I hear people all the time saying that he was sent to save the world and supposed to be there for everybody, but that's not what he said. He didn't say that. Okay, so now we see that first he's sending his disciples, first of all, to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He's sending his disciples to them. Okay, but at the same time, he's not dealing with anybody else in the world. Okay, he's only dealing with the lost sheep of the house of Israel right now. So that's Mattiyahu. Okay, here we go. Oh, I see. This is easier. Do it that way. So because of this, Am I in the right place? Wait a minute. This is crazy. What is this? All right. Okay, so what is this? 15, right? What is it? Then came, okay. Right, okay, I'm in the right place. All right, this is okay, so this is where I wanted to be. All right, so I'm in the right place. So we have come full circle. We are circled all the way back around to where we need to be. Yeah, this is where we need to be. We're right where we need to be. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is let me set this up where we need to be. When we come back, we're gonna open up right here. That's where we need to be. Okay, so there is gonna be a part 3. I'm gonna take a break, and I didn't know it was gonna be a 3-parter, and it's still light outside. It feels like it's dark right now. It's 7 o'clock, and so I'm gonna take a 15-minute break, grab some libation, wet my whistle because my mouth is dry. Won't be too long before that window behind me goes dark, and we'll still be going at it. I'm gonna get some playtime in tonight, but I'm gonna get this out, and I don't mind going at it like this. Last night, it only ran for like almost 2 hours, but I had that machine so jam packed with information and so much stuff was packed in there. It's very possible that I gave YouTube way too much information to try to handle, and it just could not keep up, and it threw the audio way off over here and the video way off over there. So that's why I'm splitting it up and slowing it down between the two machines tonight. And I don't care if it take because I had to work in the morning, so I couldn't stay up all night like I can tonight. But that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna pick it up right here and be right back on time. We should probably knock this out in 1 more hour, and that's okay with me. I have no problem with it. Initially, when we started off tonight, Mish Paka, we had some system outages and some system failures. You know, I'm still dealing with the text for this software. I like this. I'm using OBS, and I have XSplit, and then I have something else. And I use, different ones at different times. At one time, I couldn't get any of them to talk to my equipment. And then after we did some troubleshooting and they wrote some programs or whatever they did, now we have a situation where it can run, a lot of my gear because this software was designed to record and capture games and things like that for people who do gaming. But there's myself and other people out here who use it in a completely different fashion because of the type of platform that it is. But it's designed to see stuff from game consoles. So audio is like a one-sided affair. So you might hear my voice coming out of one speaker and music coming out of another speaker. That's them behind the scenes because I hear music in both ears and I hear vocals in both ears. But when you listen to playback, you hear it, separately, and that's something that's happening down on their end. So, there's a lot to be desired, but the technology is coming forward. It is here. And we're going to break wide right here. I'm going to go get some libation, and we're going to come back in 15 minutes. Meet us here if you will. Join us here if you will. Or, you can do like others do and just kick back and wait till I'm done, and then you just go back and watch the video. And that's cool too. But I don't have, let me see, do I have another? I don't have another video. Oh no, we still need to get to that. Yeah, this is gonna be a long night. I have things up here on the screen ready to go, and I haven't even gotten there yet. And so, Oh my. Well, okay. We're gonna try to get to a lot of this, but we're gonna take a break, okay, family? And then we'll come back and we'll get to the rest of this. We've got some meat to jump into, and some things to talk about. You know, we're still dealing with this casting your pearls before swine, so we had to go off on this little jaunt because you know that's what was given to me, and I have to follow that the leading and that unction when it comes. I just go with it because I don't know where it's going to take me, and I don't know what that whole left field diatribe was about and who that was for. It was for somebody. I hope they got what they needed out of that. It was fun doing it. So now we're and then and it's weird because as we were going through that, then it just led. That's how I know when the Father's leading this because it led me right back to where I got off at, so I can get back on again. And so that's where we're going to pick up at when we come back at 7:15. So let me see. What time is it now, family? It is 6:56. And yes, it is 6:56, says the old watch. And we're going to come back at 7:15. It's all going to be gravy. Um, I like hanging out with you guys. I like that you guys because I can see the channel analytics. You know, I'm that guy. I can sit in this room by myself. I really don't have to. I started doing the lives, you know, to give people an opportunity to float over in here and hang out also. But remember, I was shooting the videos in the same fashion, and then just uploading them. But then I decided that, you know, I would still do this same thing and just do the channel and let, you know, some of you guys float over in here. And periodically, you know, a few of you float in, float through, float out. But this is not the type of material that is so compelling that everybody wants to get in on it. Because sometimes, you know, I'm not having such a great day and I'll come in here and I'll talk to you about me not having such a great day. You know, there's times when, you know, things are going on, you know, and I talk about it from the standpoint like this is just a page, a slice out of my life. I have a mother with Alzheimer's and dementia, and you know the things that I have to live with because of her illness, you know, causes her to say and do things, you know, that I have to live with, and then I have to sit here and decide, was that my mother or was that the illness? You know, did she really feel that way when she said that, or was that the illness talking? You see, and so, um, like I said, after I had my breakthrough, you know, we're finally going to get Mama moved. And once I get her moved, then I'll be in a position, and hopefully in a few months, I'll be able to bring her home. And then once I bring her home, I'll be able to provide, you know, more care. I have people in place now who are willing to come and work for us and help take care of Mama. So, because I don't want her in a facility, you know, I told her I wouldn't let her stay. But the only way to get her the care that she needed, it's kind of good it went down like this because she didn't leave me any tools to work with. I had to start from scratch. I had to start from the bottom, and I finally got a social worker who saw how hard I was working to get some care for my mother, who pulled me to the side and said, you know what, it's a shame that you're having to go through this way. I'm going to help you get your mother. And I said, thank you. And so she told me, give me these documents, you know, and I said, well, all I can do is fax them to you. She said, okay, fax them to me. I said, I can email them if you, she said, well, I don't have a way to get an outside email. You can fax them. She said, but if you fax me those documents, she said, I'll fast track your paperwork and I'll take care of all the stuff in the background and we'll get your mama taken care of and get her moved. And I said, thank you. So that was a breakthrough. That was the Most High providing for his child because he knows how hard I'm in the background. The scriptures say, if you want length of days on this planet, honor your mother and your father. You know, now I don't know how hard my mother ever went to bat for me in my life. As far as I know, she's never went to bat for me in my life. She's always been the bat or turned me over to the bat, you know, or sold me out to the bat, you know, but she's never ever went to bat for me as far as I know. Now, the one time that she did go to bat for me was when she opened her legs and let me pass through her womb. Because I cannot tell you how many times I've heard that I should have aborted your black ass when I had the chance. So, as you're growing up, that's a hatred for my father that got passed on to me, and I don't know why I had to suffer that because I look like him or whatever, but I did, and I lived through it all the way up until the episode that just recently occurred. So now that whatever that was all these years in mother's current condition, that doesn't exist. That evil thing, that's not there. That door is not open for that thing to reach through and try to torment me on this side. When she looks at me, it's a whole different person. It's a whole different look. I know that look. I've seen it before when she was in the hospital with her AAA, and I was recovering from my stroke. And that thing wasn't there then. So, but the sad part about it is now, is like I said yesterday, is that my mother was talking to me yesterday. I know day before yesterday, my mother was talking to me, about my son, as if I wasn't on the phone. Like she didn't know that she was talking to me, but she was talking about my son, her grandson. But not like she was talking to her grandson's father, as if she was just talking to somebody else, mentioning her grandson. And then I said, she doesn't even know she had me on the phone. So that's where I am with my mother. Okay. And so family, Mishpachah, pray for me, pray for mama. And I'm not asking for you to pray for anything in particular. You know, I want my mother to have as many days as the Most High is going to let her have on this planet. Has nothing to do with me or how she ever treated me in this life. That's between her and her Yah. She's a Mormon, so I was stuck for a moment. I didn't know. I didn't know if I was gonna refer to him the way she does or the way I do. So that's between her and her Yah. Okay. So I don't have anything to do with that. My job was not to. It was hard for me not to feel it and take it, but my job was to take it, and I took it all these years, and now I have to make sure that my mom is cared for until she's no longer, or unless the Most High chooses to make her whole again. But that's between her and the Most High, her faith. If she wants that, I want whatever he wants. So I'm wide open. My mother is the one who doesn't believe. So this could be a test for her. I mean, because the Father does what he wants to do. He'll put you flat on your back, especially in the hospital, and have you so far down so when you look up, all you can see is him, and he'll make you recognize him. I know this for a fact. He'll make you recognize him. If I'm talking to you, you're gonna hear me. If I'm talking to you, you're gonna hear me. I've had some spiritual whippings, and they were not fun. They were worse than physical whippings because they hurt emotionally. It's a whole different kind of punishment. It's a whole different kind of touch when he chastises you. You feel it. It's your hurt is more shame. And it's such a deep shame that it hurts. And it's a punishment. Oh. I had 2 hours worth of it on the floor one night in a rally when I was coming to street ministry. It's crazy. Okay, so we'll be back. I was just killing time at 7:04, right? So we're right at that mark. So we're gonna come back 15 minutes and go from there. So family, stay with me, right? Hang on. This is an all-nighter. We're gonna do part 3. We'll be back. All right.